Hey everyone, Josh here from Road Grappling. Today we're on location at the Cask and Kettle Irish Gastropub. Chris and I are going to be interviewing Professor Mike Meahan on his recent promotion to black belt. We're going to ask any question you guys submitted for us to ask for him and talk about some jiu-jitsu.
All right, good morning, guys. So it's Chris and Josh from Road Grappling sitting here with Professor Mike Meahan. One of the things we're looking to really start doing a little bit more of is celebrating new promotions and kind of getting a chance to talk to a lot of the practitioners and the coaches around the Maritimes and talk a bit about the journey that is jiu-jitsu. So I want to welcome Mike Meahan with us here this morning. We're at the beautiful Cask and Kettle restaurant for a bit of coffee and brunch. And I guess, Mike, I just kind of want to start off by throwing it out there. Like, can you tell us a little bit about your journey to black belt?
Yeah, thanks guys for having me. The journey to black belt started probably around 11 years ago, and I started training. With John Kelly. Obviously, he had originally done a kind of a demo class, and at the time I was training. Actually, I was out at KV Golden Gloves, and I was taking my son out to Timmy Hayes had a little ninjas class, and so Tim put me onto that, and so I tried it out, and John and I kind of clicked from the beginning, and I really enjoyed the challenge of the training, and so it's been kind of just a steady pace ever since.
So when you think about your time over those 11 years, like can you talk us a bit through some of the progression or the plateaus, the challenges? What were if there are any kind of major milestones as being particularly rewarding for you?
I think for me it's just been the consistency of it all. Like I don't have anything in particular, any milestone. I still enjoy every time I step on the mat. So there's nothing there's obviously there's highlights and things. For me personally, like seeing my son come along and compete, and my students and teammates as well. I feel really good when I get to share those times with them. And for myself personally, it's just every time I'm out on the mats, I just feel great. So I appreciate it, whether it's teaching or training or the odd competition. I just really enjoy all aspects of that side of jiu-jitsu.
And obviously Mickey and Piper both very active and very skilled.
Yeah.
It's got to be really something to be able to be there with your family and kind of bring your love to this art to them and see them really flourish and enjoy it.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the nice part too, because when you have commitments and you have jobs and a working life, where you can incorporate your family into something that you love, it makes it a lot easier to actually be on to take advantage of that. So it's super. My kids are great. They both really enjoy jiu-jitsu, and my wife's always been very supportive, so it's excellent.
Yeah, and obviously now just opened a brand new satellite club for MXT West, which is where I train. I'm gonna plug that too. Tell us about the process to open up that gym and kind of take that ownership, take that leadership in that part of town.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was a venture that I talked to John about a while back, because the demand for jiu-jitsu was getting more and more here in the city. And obviously, you guys know with MXT, we just continue to grow with our East Side location, and so we were running into waiting lists and
Didn't have enough room on the mats.
didn't have enough room on the mats, and so John and I had talked, and it just seemed like it was the right time to make the jump and open another gym in St. John. And obviously on the west side, there's really there wasn't any jiu-jitsu over there, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, so it was a good place to open up the market over there, and it's worked out great. I'm very happy. We have a solid base over there. Got some great students, obviously, adults and kids. Very fortunate, and we have a great base. So we're just going to continue to try to develop the program on the west side, and everybody that's there seems to really enjoy it, and look forward to many years of continuing to grow that. So.
Yeah, great. One of the things you actually just both kind of touched on was the space on the mat. So obviously we were very blessed to have our mestre, Max Trombini, was in town for a few days worth of seminars. Outstanding instruction, but can you tell us a little bit about your experience under Max Trombini?
Yeah, well, Max is a true inspiration for me. I met Max back in 2010. He came to do his first seminar, and I think there might have been 5 of us from the original club back then. And immediately, I was kind of blown away with the way that he, first of all, the way that he carried himself, his level of knowledge, and just his persona on the mats, and he didn't at the time. He didn't speak really any English, but the communication with just his teaching and his personality and charisma was, it really made an impact on me. And ever since then, thanks to John Kelly, we've been able to have Max come down, fairly often. And every time I get to spend time with Max, I just feel motivated. I feel invigorated, and he lifts you up. He lifts you up, and he makes you want to be better. And obviously, as a coach now, and seeing that the high level of coach that Max is, it's made a real impact on me and how I try to coach and develop my students. So I think the world of Max. He's a real treasure for us, and I look forward to many more years under Max Trombini and John Kelly and Edgar Luque.
Outstanding. Yeah. So can you, really open-ended question here, but can you tell us what jiu-jitsu means to you?
Jiu-jitsu means everything to me. It's when I started jiu-jitsu, I was in a really difficult time in my life. So it was, I had 2 young children that were under 3. I was working 2 jobs. I was a president of a union. I found out recently that I had developed, I hadn't developed, I had for a long time, but, some anxiety and depression issues. And I really wasn't sure how to deal with them. So after talking to my doctor, he recommended, one of the things he recommended was, find something that you can stay focused on and maybe outside of work and the current situation I was in. That's when I actually started taking my son out to Little Ninjas, and I started training boxing again. And I used to train boxing with Tim at the Golden Gloves here in St. John. So he put me on to John Kelly doing this BJJ class, and so I started then, and immediately I was very interested. It was so difficult, and so you didn't have time to think about anything else when you're on the mats, and I just found that was a real turning point for me, because it helped me to actually just center myself again and focus in on training and something new and so difficult that didn't give me time to kind of dwell on anything that might have been bothering me. So I stayed with the training, and over time I found that it was the perfect thing for me to actually be the best version of myself, for my family, for my work life, everything. It was it just helped me refocus, and it was that perfect outlet, I guess, and I think that's very important that people, as we all have busy lives, but you need to find something for you, and because we can get in those ruts where we're not the best version of ourselves because we're not focusing on ourselves. And if you can take 2, 3, 4 days a week, whether it's the gym or whatever, for me it was jiu-jitsu, and focus at those times and really give back to yourself, and it makes a world of difference. So that's when we started off, and then from there it's just been part of my life, and I just kept falling more and more in love with the martial art and the community, and here we are today.
Yeah, man. From my perspective, you hit the nail on the head. Because in today's society, especially in North America and the Western kind of culture in general, there's so many distractions, so many ways you can get lost in just the stuff that you need to do. So finding something where you can actually, get that center, I think speaks to a lot of people. Now, I know we were actually really lucky with the kind of the Ask Me Anything format. We had a lot of kind of questions that came online.
So I keep looking at my phone. That's where I have a lot of our talking points and some questions from fans. So it's sort of a wild change of pace for questions. But the first one is, can a ninja really only kill a ninja?
Yes, if they use wrist locks.
Ooh, prison rules.
Yeah? I've been killed with a wrist lock. I have. Okay. What advice would Mike give to newer practitioners or those who feel like they're hitting a plateau in their training?
You know what? Just stay consistent. Just stay consistent, mainly because we all do that. That's just part of the process. You're going to hit plateaus. You're going to think there's going to be times you think, do I even know jiu-jitsu, or do I know what I'm doing? And then another 3 or 4 weeks later, you start hitting those things, these moves that you've been training. You start hitting them without even thinking. So stay consistent with your training, and things will come together for you.
Yeah. I think there's also like the issue of false plateaus where you're all learning together and you think you're plateauing, but you're all sort of climbing the same ladder together.
Yeah.
So you don't know you're getting better.
And everybody does, everybody learns at a different pace.
Yeah.
So you really can't compare, yourself to others. And if you're doing that and you're looking at that as maybe I'm plateauing because, so-and-so is doing much better than I am right now. Well, it's just we all learn at different paces. So you can't get too concerned with that.
I would love to hear your most significant training and learning hurdles on the journey to black belt and how you overcame them.
Training and learning hurdles. It's really, some of the hurdles were, the work-life balance thing, and just trying to keep committed to my training when I had so many other distractions that were taking me away or possibly could have taken me away from training. So, just trying to stay consistent with my training. In that aspect, and also, I had some significant injuries. I've had some dislocations, a few broken bones, and I've had some recent, injuries with my back that were pretty significant. So, but I've managed to climb back on the mats and get through that. So, the injury thing will happen from time to time. It's just inevitable. You're going to get some bumps and bruises along the way. Just if you love the art, you just stick it out and you just try to put yourself back together the best you can. And sometimes you have to modify your training, which I've had to do just to be able to stay on the mats. But I would say that those have been my biggest hurdles.
Okay. We'll circle back to the injury thing in a second, just because I know it's in the questions.
Yep.
But the next one is, what's the biggest competition you've ever competed in?
I'm not a regular competitor, but I have competed, and I do plan to compete again at some point. I do enjoy it. I wish I had, more time for it. But I would say the World Masters in Las Vegas, IBJJF. So I went down there. I competed twice down there, and I would say that would be the biggest tournament, biggest competition.
I hope to get down there in the next year or two.
That's a great tournament.
Now that I'm in the Masters.
The Masters, yeah.
Finally getting up there, right?
Yeah. Don't be fooled by the name.
Oh, yeah.
Tough.
All right. Circling back to your back injury.
Yeah.
Were you concerned about the future of your jiu-jitsu training when you're dealing with your back injury? Was there ever a time where you were worried your training days might be in legitimate jeopardy?
Yeah, I never worried about my training days being in jeopardy. I wouldn't, I don't care. I would stay on the mats no matter what, no matter what type of pain or injury I had. I made that very clear to my doctor when we were discussing my back issues. So,
doctors always hate jiu-jitsu guys.
Yeah, sometimes. So, but he's a pretty supportive guy, so he got it. So, I was a little worried because I wasn't going away. I had this issues, and I'm seeing a specialist here on Monday actually to try to help me with them. But it was just one of these things that took so long, and it was just. It was a lot of pain and a lot of discomfort on the mats, and it was definitely affecting my ability to train. Luckily, I could still coach, and I had some great people like Chris there to help me, with my team, and but yeah, I guess that's kind of the whole thing. I was able to get through it. A lot of physiotherapy. Shout out to John Gonzalez, Rehab One, for helping me, and then just trying to bear down and get through it and seeking the right help. So.
Okay. What's the most rewarding thing for yourself personally that you've learned or realized over the course of your training?
Rewarding that I've realized. The most rewarding thing that I've realized over the course of training. I would just say that jiu-jitsu it's a great martial art, and it's a great lifestyle. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've seen as a reward is that thanks to jiu-jitsu, I've been able to positively impact all areas of my life, my family, my work life. All that stuff has been impacted because of my consistent training on the mats, and so I'm very, very thankful for that.
Yeah.
That's something I can completely relate to is getting comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
And it's the way you deal with stress, the way you approach life is, for me, it's been completely different. So I think I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the community involved with jiu-jitsu. Like, no matter what's going on with your life, that community's sort of always there. If you have to step away and then come back to it, or they're always there to help each other.
Yeah, the community's great. The jiu-jitsu community in general, like, and over the years I've got to meet people all through the Maritimes. We got some great clubs, and shout out to all the clubs in the Maritimes. New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, some awesome people down there, and we're all kind of in this together. And it's so yeah, the community's a wonderful thing. And
It's still growing, but it's very tight knit.
Yeah.
And that's it's really exciting to kind of see the evolution.
absolutely.
How do you feel about getting confused with Chris all the time? You guys look like twins.
It's hard. It's very hard because Chris is he's such a good-looking guy, and I don't think I live up to his standards. But I do what I can to deal with that, and
Thanks, Randall.
Would you rather have 3 feet or 3 hands?
Oh man, 3 hands for sure.
Wrist locks for days.
Wrist lock, chokes, and all at the same time. Sure.
Would it make you more susceptible to more wrist locks?
Well, not when you're applying the wrist locks.
If you could give one piece of advice to yourself as a white belt, what would it be?
One
That's a
piece
good
of
question.
advice.
That's a great question.
To myself as a white belt. Just don't quit. Just if you like it, stay with it, and just don't quit.
Even if you don't like it, stick with it.
Yeah, even if you don't like it, stick with it. I mean, it's sometimes a tough sell to some people, but if you do it, it's one of the most rewarding things you can do.
Right. What is your favorite aspect of training new students?
Favorite aspect of training new students would probably be just to see the enthusiasm when they come to the door, and to try to help foster that into their training. I would say that would probably be the biggest thing there.
It must be awesome just witnessing the development,
Yeah.
knowing you help them learn something new.
Well,
and
they get
apply
that
it.
exactly. They get that first stripe, or they hit that first technique that they've been working on. Scissor sweep or hip bump, and they're just wow. So the enthusiasm is pretty cool to see with new students.
Our last question from a fan, and I wouldn't mind hearing the answer myself. Do you have any tips on how to manage time, having a job, family, and maintaining that work-life balance? Like Chris and I run into that a lot. We both work full-time jobs. We run Rogue, and we try to train too.
Yeah, just again, it comes back down to make that time for yourself. You need to, if you want to be the best version of yourself for your family, for your work. Make that time to train, to get to the gym. Sometimes you're going to have to, obviously if there's something with a personal or a work situation that may take you a night away here or there, you got to do it. But make time for yourself. You really need to.
Perfect.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, listen, guys, it's been a great morning. We're going to have some breakfast here. Thanks again to our friends at Cask and Kettle for helping us out and giving us a place to shoot. Mike, I honestly want to say reiterate, congratulations, huge milestone.
Thank you.
It's an honor to know you, teammate, be my coach, and train with you. It's wonderful. And speaking for the community, East Coast Maritime Jiu-Jitsu, thank you for the service, and you help really coach a new generation of athletes, grow the community. Your passion for the art is evident, so it's really inspiring to kind of be around that energy. So,
right
from all of us, thank you for being here and being a part of it.
Oh, thank you guys. It's a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Quick shout out to our sponsors, Akiro Canada,
Pro-Am
Technacity.
Belts, Creative Lifestyle Studio, Naturally Fit Fredericton,
Maybe the Cask and Kettle.
maybe the Casting Cattle. Yeah, thanks guys. Have a
Thanks,
good one.
guys. So, yeah, like this video, subscribe.